Welcome to the podcast, Moira. It's absolutely fantastic to have you here. Thank you for coming along.
Oh, thank you for inviting me. I'm really excited to be here. Really excited to be here. I love what you do. We've worked on a couple of things together before now, and so I'm very, very excited. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, I'm going to ask you the same question I ask all my guests. What is your money story?
My money story is, I think, like a lot of women of my age, I'm a woman in her 60s, and I didn't know there was such a thing as a money story till I was in my 50s. So I have been an entrepreneur since I was 30. Don't quite know how I started to be an entrepreneur because there was no internet and all that sort of thing, but that's another story. But all of my life, I, I did okay. I paid my bills, paid my taxes and all that sort of thing. But I always felt there was more ability in me, and I never could get further than a certain level of income. And it didn't matter what I did, or why could other people do it. And I really didn't understand that it was my money mindset, it was my money story. And then in my 50s, I decided that I wanted to, this was it. I didn't really have a pension, and this was it. I started another new business, which was all to do with, I moved to Spain anyway, it doesn't really matter. And this business was going to be the one that was really going to earn me money, and actually it has. But the internet was there then, and there was more self-help out there that I never had before. Analysing yourself, well, really honestly, when I was younger, you didn't analyse yourself, you just got on with it. You were just told to get on with it. And then I started to understand that the reason why, because I would even earn more money, and then, which is a common story, I understand, and then my income would go down again. And it was always, even if I really went out, push to a certain level, somewhere or another, it would always just go down to this level again. And then I realized that it was something to do with my money mindset. And I did do a lot of work, and it really does. I know this is probably a story, and it is a story for a lot of women. It really does go back to my childhood, to my brother, who actually is a millionaire, who is 3 years younger than me. No matter what he did, he was brilliant, he was great, he was fantastic, and I was a show-off if I said anything. Little girls should be seen and not heard. I was never, ever as good as my friends were. I was never going to achieve as much as all that sort of thing. And it wasn't, please don't get me wrong, I didn't grow up with bad parents. I grew up in a very loving household. I always felt secure and well fed and warm, and my parents didn't fight or drink or any of that stuff. But it was just the message that I picked up. I don't think my parents would, I think what they were trying to do was encourage me by saying, you're never going to get anywhere but it was you're never going to get anywhere that was obviously going in. And as I say, I don't think it's because my parents have been spiteful or anything like that. I think it was just how it affected me. Yeah. Once I started to realize that, I realized that all of my life, my adult life, I'd been chasing money. And so I went to work, I did my thing in my butt to chase the money, to get the money to pay the bills and all that sort of thing. And then I slowly started to change my perception of that through working on my mindset, to understanding that, looking at money as differently, that I started to have goals. And once I understood that my goals we were living in Spain at the time, and we started to have goals. One was to have a big camper van, and I know people find this strange, but we hated being in Spain in the summer. It was too hot, there was too many tourists, it was too everything. So I wanted to get my business in a position, which was a wedding planning business, so that we could have 3 months out in the summer. And so the business had to grow in a certain way to enable that. And then that was like, oh. And I stopped thinking about money and I started to think about goals
Yeah.
or things I was going for.
Yeah.
And that was the game changer. I mean, don't get me wrong, we understand we have to earn money. And that was the other thing of knowing that you also have to take the action to get the goals achieved. And that was the other thing, you know, you also have to realize you still have to work
Yeah.
and take the action. But that was a big game changer for me.
But it's
And
realigning it's realigning the purpose of what you're doing, realigning the focus of where your attention is, and you put your attention on what you wanted to do with the money. Money wasn't the end result.
Yeah.
Yeah. I go back to what you said with regards to your childhood, because you're so right in terms of, you know, that is where, you know, our money mindset, our relationship with money is formed, you know, as a result of our parents' relationship with money, and also what we hear them say and do around money. And it was interesting what you said, that, you know, your parents never intentionally talked you down, but it was the way that it's what you heard. You heard part of the sentence rather than the whole sentence. And
yeah.
you know, and that's what happens with, you know, with limiting beliefs. Limiting beliefs are how we interpret a situation, how we interpret what things are said to us, as opposed to, you know, the facts of what that intention absolutely was. What was it for you that allowed you to realize that it was those limiting beliefs that had held you back, and that your brother had actually interpreted things differently and had seen a different set of results? Basically, what was it, as far as you were concerned, was the trigger for having that realization?
I talking to people, starting to talk to people like yourself, and realizing, oh, this is something to go, you know, this is something about me. There was a couple of things happened. One was I was doing something in my business, upscaling my business, and starting to think, this is when I was still living in Spain, when I was going through this process. And I'd kind of understood about mindset and my subconscious mind, and that actually, even though I thought I was constantly thinking with my conscious mind, it was my subconscious mind that was doing all the really driving the bus. So and so that it was all like, well, and at first I thought that's nonsense, but started to realize it was. But the thing that really made me go, oh my God, that really is true, is I was going to do something, and I was upscaling the wedding planning business and all that sort of thing, and I started to think about the income that could bring in. And I was out walking my dog, and in a split second, Lesley, and it was a split second, I suddenly thought, that's not going to happen, because you're going to get ill and die. And from nowhere, that came from nowhere at all. I'm not phobic about dying or anything. And I was like, and it was such an overwhelming thought that I thought, oh my God, and what's Steve going to do, and what's going to happen to the dogs, and he can't run the business because it's a wedding planning bit, and all this stuff was going on in my head, right, in an instant like that. And then luckily my best friend phoned me. I was out walking the dogs. My best friend phoned me, and can't even remember what she said, so that sort of broke the spell. In the meantime, my dog ran off and disappeared, and anyway, to cut a long story short, by the time I'd finished talking to Ange, went and found the dog, and was sort of then back to, and that had broken the spell. And suddenly I thought, oh my God, that was my mindset. When I thought consciously about achieving that much money, and really was like thinking, God, this is going to be great, I can see how that's going to work. And I was really like, this is really working, and we're going to get that. That's incredible. I was going to die. Now it was so strong, and I just thought, whoa, I really need to do some money mindset here. I really need to understand that. And I'm not saying that that has stopped, but I know it's there.
Yeah. And I think that is the eureka moment, I think, for lots of us, isn't it? Is when we realize how absolutely powerful our mindset, our subconscious is. It is much more stubborn than our conscious self is. And I think until we actually are honest with ourselves and realize there's almost a force at work that we don't have control over until we choose to take control. And it is an intentional thing that we have to do to grapple back. Because I know, over not so much my career, when I was in corporate life, I don't think I had that same awareness. I just saw, when I had what I now would call comparatinitis or self-doubt or imposter syndrome, I just saw that as a need to find out more, to go on a training course, to increase my level of knowledge, etc. So I wasn't aware quite of the negative impact my mindset could have. But once I went into business, particularly, I think the coaching business, actually, I think the coaching business has woken me up even more to the need to really, first of all, recognize when our mindset is being more than mischievous, encouraging us to have that extra bottle of wine on a Friday night. That's one thing, but actually preventing us from doing those very, very things that are going to allow us to achieve our goals, that is when it starts to become really dangerous. And I think you've just very, very clearly demonstrated that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was my very first, let's say I'd been looking at mindset and imposter syndrome, like kind of skirting and thinking, really? And I probably had other experiences of that, like, oh my God, that isn't going to work. I'm going to die. You're going to die. And it was almost like a prophecy, my own prophecy. It was so strong. And it was only because I'd started to have an awareness that, and then I was lucky enough that the spell was broken by circumstance. And then and I really did. That was the first time that first time I went, oh my goodness, that was my mindset. Yeah. That was me imagining what's coming and knowing and living it and feeling it. And then poof, that coming in. And now I'm aware that I have that. I do say to my clients, I'm not sure that ever goes, because some people say, I've just got to do my mindset, almost like they're looking for a cure. I think it's like sort of having diabetes or something. There's no cure. You just learn to live with it. You just learn to deal with it and manage it. And every time you move to the next level, you have the same process to go through again.
Absolutely. And you're so right there, mindset, be it, our self-belief, self-confidence, our relationship with money, whatever it is never one and done. It is something that will keep coming up, new levels, new devils, new, big numbers in your life, whatever it might be, it will always come up. But I think it's a little bit like once you identify what types of food upset your stomach, you can then choose to avoid those types of foods, or you have those types of foods, but you know that you then live with the consequences. And I think is exactly the same. Once we actually understand our mindset is going to play tricks, and I very often, the way that I describe it to clients is envisaging a little army of soldiers climbing up your shoulder, getting closer to your ear, and then starting to give you those negative messages, basically. What you have to do is swat each soldier off that shoulder to stop it from being able to deliver that message. And once you realize that your mindset is trying to dissuade you from a course of action you know you need to take, then once you know that, but you know what's going to happen, and you can almost then, because you know what's going to happen, you can circumvent it, can't you? You can kind of, yeah, I know what you're doing, but you're not going to put me off. I am going to keep doing what I plan to do because I know the reason why I'm doing it.
Yeah. And that's exactly it. And then it's learning other little tricks. Tricks is the wrong word, but it's like then listening to what you're saying to yourself. So every time I plan a launch, every time I know that when I wake up in the morning, as soon as it's like, right, today we're starting to get the emails out and all that, I wake up in the morning and I have this narrative: you should be retiring, you should be, people, you're too old. What are you thinking about? What's all this about? Why haven't you already made enough money? Why do you want to do this? Why haven't you already got what you want? And this little narrative starts. So now and then also I can have, on a Saturday morning in particular, you didn't achieve much this week, you didn't get that done, you didn't get this done, you didn't get that done. And so as soon as it's almost like I've never suffered from headaches, but I imagine it's like if you suffer from headaches and you start to feel a headache coming on, you take an aspirin really quickly and the headache goes. So as soon as I for me, it starts with an anxious feeling in my chest, and it's feeling and thinking and feeling and thinking, all that sort of going on. And if I just go, but you did so well, and you did this and you did do that, and wow, you did that and you did so well, and then I can feel this, no, but you should have done this, and but I didn't. That's fine, because I can do that in the future, and this is what I did do, and that's how it helped. And it's just keep repeating those, what I did do well. That makes this all sound, I mean, had somebody said this to me when I was in my 30s, which is obviously a long time ago, I'd have thought you were nuts.
Yeah.
And but now I understand, actually, that is. So then I have, on a Saturday morning in particular, this little tug of war going on, and I'm like, but you did so well. And then, but you still didn't do that. No, I did really, really well. And I just, the really, really well thing has to stay longer. It's like having an argument with your husband. We have an argument with your husband, and somebody's got to have the last word.
Yeah.
So it's a bit like that.
Yeah.
Going on in my head, and my conscious mind, I just have to make sure my conscious mind has the last word. And in the end, my subconscious mind just goes, oh, all right then. And
whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
So is that the reason why you do what you do on a Friday evening? So what you shared on Facebook last week in terms of, I won't spoil it, I'll let you describe it, in terms of a certain fizzy drink and where you go, is that part of you saying to your subconscious, do one, I'm celebrating, what I've achieved this week, and tell everybody what it is you do?
Every single Friday, myself, my husband, we're very fortunate. We live very, very close to the sea, but not close enough that I can walk to the beach in the morning. It's only a 5-minute drive in the car, but if you're walking that, it's too far in the morning. When you're walking the dogs in the morning, we walk them across fields. But on a Friday, every Friday, we finish work early. I don't know, sometimes 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, something like that, sometimes a bit earlier. And we go to the beach. And on my beach is a really nice pub. Our local is on the beach, and they serve excellent champagne. And I am a champagne lover. And everybody that knows me knows I'm a champagne lover. And we go down the beach and we walk the dogs along the beach, and then we go to the pub and I drink champagne. And I think it kind of is. I always say this is my reward. This is my reward for such a good week. And I also have cottoned on, and that is my attitude on a Friday. This is my reward. This is what I deserve. And I have also associated actually only very recently, Lesley, that then that real on a Saturday morning, you really have been useless all week and you didn't achieve what you should have done. And for a little while, I started to think, was it the champagne? This is honestly, was it the champagne? Is the champagne they have? There's something in it that doesn't agree with me and makes me feel depressed on a Saturday morning. I swear to goodness, I started to analyse that. And then again, it was like, oh, no, that's not what it is. It's because yesterday you went, I deserve this. And I feel elated on a Friday. And no, of course it's not. There's something wrong with the champagne. No. But honestly, I did do that for ages. Kept thinking I think why do I always feel so negative and depressed on a Saturday morning? And it must be something in that drink. It must be something in that drink, because that's the only thing that's different. Of course, then suddenly you go, you've been a bit stupid here. And
I think that's it. First of all, I think I love the fact that you get to a Friday and you celebrate, because I think people that work with me, people that know me, know, to me, life is all about celebrating, and we celebrate the small things and we celebrate the big things, because the small things lead to the bigger things. And marking each of those moments is so, so important. But equally, having that awareness that that negative voice, our subconscious, unless we educate it, and by educating it, what we have to do is to be doing those very, very things it's telling us not to do. But if we go and do them anyway, it's a little bit like that sulky teenager. Oh, go on then. And it comes along because it recognizes the only way it can keep you safe is now by being part of the solution, rather than being part of the pity party that is preventing you from doing those very things. So I think to be able to do as you've done, to self-analyze and to realize that actually it is in our gift to be able to say, shove off. You're not helping. I'm going to be doing it anyway. Yes, thank you for getting me to where I am now, but actually I need to go further. And you can either help or you can be a hindrance. And if you're going to be a hindrance, I don't want to know. And I think it's actually having that conversation with yourself where you recognize nobody can make you feel anything unless you allow them to make you feel it, or for you to feel it, not make you feel it, for you to feel it. And our internal conversation can make us actually feel fatter, frumpier, older, uglier than anybody can make us feel. But we have the ability, we have the gift to be able to say, no, I'm not taking that. I'm older, I've got experience. I'm uglier, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. I'm old, I'm whatever I might be, the best version that I can be right now. And if you don't like it, you know what you can do. And I think once you say that to yourself and keep saying it to yourself, your subconscious really does cotton on that it's not being helpful. But what you said in terms of, going on that walk, hearing yourself saying, you're going to be dead.
Oh, yeah, really loud. Yeah. It was loud. I can only say it was a loud thought.
And that is it. I think for some people, their subconscious, that internal voice, can be quite a small voice, more like a little nagging doubt as opposed to anything more amplified. But for others, it can actually be that loud voice that is a constant. But once you realize you can turn that volume right down, in fact, you can press the mute button on it. And once you've done that the first time and it's worked, you just keep doing it till a point comes where it stops. It stops until the next time, obviously, but you will be much more equipped the next time to say, I know what you're doing. Don't, I know your game this time, and I'm going to get there much more quickly. Yeah. So how do you now, how is Moira in her 60s different to Moira at a different point in time, an earlier point in time?
Do you know, this is something I say to my clients, and again, older women, because there's this stereotype out there, isn't there? We should all be slim and have no lines and this and that and the other, and women in particular are targeted. And I now really understand. In fact, I had a conversation about this with somebody last night. I really understand that it's my experience and my knowledge that makes that is the power. And the fact that I'm lined or whatever is nothing to do with it. The lines show my knowledge and experience and all of these things that I've obtained, through working with people like you, Lesley, understanding what's really going on, understanding that is my real power, and that only comes with age. So I've embraced my age. I remember when I was, again, this was all part of me saying this is my last chance. When I was in my 50s, I remember when I was where I actually was, I was living in Spain at the time. I remember I was walking down the high street of the town where I lived, and just was like, people don't notice me anymore. People don't look at me the way they used to. People don't notice me. And that first conscious thought that I felt that I was starting to become invisible and people weren't valuing me in the same way as when I was younger. And then now I'm in my 60s, that isn't true, because you have the power to actually say, oh my God, this woman's amazing. And for you to shine out. And I know that all sounds very all coachy words. Sorry, I don't like using coachy words. Makes you shine. But I can't think of another word to say it. So I embrace it. And when I hear the you should be retiring voice and what you're thinking, and you should be already, I have goals and ambitions of where I want to be and where I want to take my business and all that sort of thing. And when I hear the voice that says, well, you should have done it already, and you should have been there already, and you're never going to do it if you haven't done it now, and all these things, you should be retiring, what are you thinking about, why aren't you retired? I turn that now to say, because I wasn't ready before and I'm ready now. What I've now gained and the knowledge I have now is what makes this the perfect time to achieve what I want to achieve. Absolutely. And again, it's just that little spin of words, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as well, our purpose changes too. Yes. As we go through life, our purpose absolutely changes. But what was interesting, as you were talking about, getting older, walking down the street and not getting the same level of attention, do you think because I'm 54 now, so, I'm a woman of a certain age. Do you think sometimes what happens, though, is that we almost take on that mantle of we're older, we're not as firm and as toned as we used to be, and therefore we don't hold ourselves in the same way, we don't dress in the same way. But once you put on a bright coat or a piece of clothing you feel fabulous in, or bright colour lipstick, get your nails done, etc. Once we actually again say, I'm stepping into that spotlight, I'm going to make people notice me. You look at the Queen, she was always dressed in bright colours. And she actually said she chose purposefully to wear those bright colours, because if she didn't, she wouldn't stand out and people wouldn't see her in that sea of other people around her. So do you think, to a certain extent, as we get older, we need to take more responsibility for being seen, rather than assuming we will just be seen? It's our responsibility to ensure we are seen.
Yes, I do. And that's, again, it all goes back to the same thing. It's having the confidence to do that, isn't it? And it's about being with other women that help you to see that. Because again, I think that it's all very well for young women to say to you, you should be doing this and you should be doing that. And you just think, you've no idea where I am.
Yeah.
You've no idea what my thought process is. But I also think when you're about other women that are your peers, and you're all going in that journey together, it gives you the confidence. But
Yeah.
yes, I do. Yes, I do. And so many of my clients say to me, that they just have no confidence.
Yeah.
And I don't know what happens to older women. And so many of my clients say, why do older women lose all their confidence? I don't know, is the answer. But it's about us asking each individual person, I think, why am I not confident, and what it is. And then again, same as money mindset, stepping into it and saying, okay, let's unravel this and work with it.
Yeah, and that's exactly it, because a big part of our money mindset, our relationship with money, is our identity. And I think it is stepping into and owning our identity, and not allowing how others perceive a certain person should be, no matter what their age, no matter what their size, no matter what their age. We have to decide for ourselves, this is how I want to be seen, this is the identity I want to have, and to step into that identity. I know when I put on a high heel pair of boots and a bright coloured coat, and my hair, my makeup is immaculate, I feel absolutely fantastic. So I always make an effort. Even sitting here now, I have high heel boots on. Don't have slippers. I could do, but I don't. Because I always make sure that I feel, my best, basically. And I think it is recognizing what is the trigger for you that helps you to feel better. What is the trigger for you that makes you feel less than? Start avoiding that trigger that makes you feel less than, not worthy, and start moving towards those things that actually make you feel a whole lot better. And I think once we recognize that nobody can take away from us what we are not prepared to give. And I think losing our confidence, again, nobody can take your confidence away from you unless you choose to allow them to do that. And I think the more we make that connection between our sense of self-worth, our self-value, how that reflects on our relationship with money, but actually it all comes back to, exactly as you said, confidence. And we need to step back into that identity of us being a 25-year-old, a 35-year-old, and remember, what was it that gave me that sense of confidence? Or if you never had it, what do I need to do? What do I need to do to create it? Because actually it's in my gift to give that to myself.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's just about listening to yourself, isn't it? It's about learning to listen to yourself and understanding really what is going on, and just dealing with it. Like I say, if you think about it, your subconscious mind is like having something like diabetes, type A diabetes, that you can live a perfectly normal life, but you have to work with the diabetes. And I think it's exactly the same with your subconscious mind. And once you kind of get that in your head, not that you're going to ever be cured, but it's always in there, and it's there for a reason, and you're able to manage it, then you're really, like I say, if you just apply it to the same as having diabetes or something, as long as you manage it, it really doesn't hold you back at all.
No.
And it's just that, isn't it? It's having awareness. Again, knowledge is power.
I agree. No, I absolutely agree. So how can people connect with you, Moira?
Well, I'm part of the Midlife Women in Business group. So if you go to www.midlifewomeninbusiness.co.uk, you can fill in the contact us form. I'm all over social media as Moira Doherty, the midlife business mentor. You can connect with me on any social media platforms, but it's just easy to find me from our Midlife Women in Business, because midlife women mean business.
Brilliant. I love that. And don't worry, everybody, all the details to connect with Moira will be in the show notes. So I make it really, really easy for people. Thank you very much for your time today. I've loved our conversation, and I shall be ensuring I have a glass of champagne on Friday evening.
Well, next time then, on this Friday coming, Lesley, when I do my video, I will toast you.
Thank you very much.
And see that you're toasting me back.
I will, absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Thank you. Bye.